with Michael Bublé with Sway. It's
I love it.
20 minutes to 9.
Okay, it certainly is. Look, in the studio, now, I know he's copied my name. We have Ben Starr.
No, you're not related.
Not Sharina Starr. Ben Starr, and you're missing out because you haven't got Dale Starr.
Yeah, I'll put
On
something
your name.
Don't worry, it's not Bold and the Beautiful in here.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, it's more like the Beauty and the Beast.
Well, I think so. I think so. Okay, now, just tell us. We
Sharina.
want to start with here about this documentary you're doing with Marconi.
Well, we met last
What
week at
is
the
this all
Festival
about?
of Dreams, didn't we? And you
Yes.
beelined straight across and we had this big conversation. But you know, Marconi and my journey of discovering Marconi has been an interesting one.
Yes.
Because, you know, I started in radio when I was 13 and...
13?
And, yeah, my dad got me into radio. And I was one of those kids that always wanted to work on radio. So I eventually got my dream at, 24. I was working on Capital City Radio here in Sydney. But I fell into education. And after 14 years of
You're not a smart
teaching...
person.
No, not a smart person. But you know what? I never thought I could do that. I think sometimes the weirdest things happen in your life when you least expect it.
Yes.
And I actually say to a lot of people, I was called to do that as a job.
That's right.
Never wanted to be a teacher in my life. Fell into it, loved it, and I've just stopped teaching after 14 years. So the whole thing with Marconi came about in 2009. I was over there for Christmas in Rome and I thought, oh look, I'd like to visit Vatican Radio. So I sent an email across and sure enough they said yes. A little tour turned into, Ben, we heard you love Marconi. Would you like to be a guest in his private museum in the grounds of the Vatican? And then,
Wow.
this is how the documentary starts. So
Yes,
a couple of years later,
interesting.
and you know, like, sometimes you meet the weirdest people or the people that you need to meet. And I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that I would become a personal friend with Princess Electra Marconi, the daughter of the man who invented radio.
I think I've seen the pictures on some of your
on Facebook.
Conversation Arena.
Yeah, that's right, Conversation Arena. And look, you know, what's interesting is when you start to research the man Marconi and what he stood for, well, we're sitting in what would be a legacy of the man tonight. So I always say to people, whenever you see a red on-air light flashing in a studio, his legacy's alive. And, you know, at 21 he creates that.
Well, tell me about the daughter.
Princess Electra.
What's she like as a person?
Oh, she's the most lovely person. Do you know, you've got to understand, growing up in the world of an aristocrat is very different to the world that you and I would know. So you grow up in that world of being a princess, and you have princes and marquises. So it's all about protocol. I would fit right in there.
I think I'd fit in there.
You would be a hit. We'll do a psychic
I
show.
could wear my leopard skin.
But you know, she's a woman who, in her late 80s, is still going around the world talking about her father. She's dedicated her life to talking about her father and keeping his legacy alive. So she goes to schools and she does lots of functions. And it was interesting this time, a few weeks ago in Rome when we were filming, we were having a coffee in this little coffee shop opposite her palace in Via Condotti. I mean, can you believe it? You know, where Bulgaria
It's like a movie. It's
Yeah,
like
it is.
It's like a movie. Ben Starr on tour. Ben Starr.
Well, the
love
princess
affair
and
with
I.
Marconi.
Yeah. And you know, here I am sitting there thinking to myself, I can't believe she does look like her father. Can't believe her father created radio. And she said to me, you know, Ben, I really wish I could have gone on a holiday with all the other girls. And I thought, oh, here's the interesting insight to her.
Yes.
She said, I've dedicated my whole life to talking about my father, and I've always wanted to go on a holiday where it wasn't about talking about, you know, or going somewhere to talk about my father. So there is that element of I want to be normal. But what's very interesting is she has a palace in Bologna, and this palace would be, what, half the size of the Queen Victoria building in Sydney. And we went out there and we're walking through it, and she said to me, what do you think about renovating this? And I thought, camera 4, I've never done a renovation before of a palace. What do you want to renovate it for? Her final legacy is she wants to restore it in memory of her father as a museum and a radio training school for broadcast technicians. And she
She must have actually loved meeting you because you're a teacher.
Operation Marconi is underway, let me tell you. We're trying to raise funds for that. And you know, I think what her legacy is, she only wants one room dedicated to herself, and it's called the Electra Room. And that's where she learnt to dance as a very young girl. So, yeah, she's very passionate and she's got a lot of spring in her step. But, you know, it's interesting, very respected, the Marconi name.
Well, Absolutely, but I believe that Marconi had an obsession with communicating with the dead and was building some sort of gadgets or, devices.
Now, the interesting thing about Marconi is he and a guy called Ernest Fisk, who came here to Australia many, many years ago, created AWA. He and Fisk had this belief that they could contact the afterlife, and they were both working on technology.
Technology, see, was
It's
that
all
sort of
about
like
technology.
the voice on
You're
the
the
tapes?
voice, try and understand it. Yeah, probably. It was all about that.
Because
and
I believe the guy
telephone
called Mark
communication.
Macy was involved.
Yeah. Now, if you go to the AWA building over
Yes.
in Sydney, walk into the foyer, still to this day, which is heartbreaking, it's got these terrible little shops down there, but up on the roof in the ceiling it has all the most beautiful horoscope of the world. All the horoscopes are up there, hanging from the
wonderful.
roof. And that's what they
Something you learn
believed in.
every day.
But you've got to realise these two guys were visionary. You know,
Yes.
they were, in probably a way, they were psychic themselves, because
Sure.
he thought, Marconi always knew from the age of 7 that he would do something for the benefit of mankind. And the interesting thing is about his legacy, he actually disliked what he calls one-way media, which is what we're sitting on tonight. So anything where people can control it, he was against, because in the hands of the wrong people, it
Could
can
be
hurt.
dangerous.
It can hurt people.
Yes, well...
But he builds a big radio station for Pope Pius X in the 30s, and that's really what put him on the map. Because when I was filming this, I finally got into the backyard of the Vatican, and a very good friend of ours, Brother Bill, who's a Marist brother, he leans forward in the car and he says to me, "Ben, I've dedicated my whole life to God for 40 years, and all I had to say was I want to see Marconi to get in the backyard." And here we are, and literally, Sharina, it is as per original. 1930.
It sounds absolutely beautiful.
It
Can
is.
people go to a website and check all this out?
Well, look, if you can go to the Facebook
Tell me about the
page.
Conversation Arena.
Well, you know, I love conversations, and from all this,
I can tell that,
yeah, I
yes.
know. From all this, I think conversation is a great way, a therapeutic way of helping people. And I
Yes.
think we can talk about many, many different topics. And look, I suppose my insight or Marconi's gift to me was I was a music radio announcer, right, and playing all those relaxing classics. And then I fell into the world of doing talk. And you know, the interesting thing is, I never thought I
Did you
could
ever
do
take a
that.
commercial break?
Never took a commercial break. You know what it's like.
He talks more than me.
I know, spin the wheel, we'll get a card.
We'll get a card, yeah.
But you know, but meeting you, I think what's interesting is,
Ooh.
Marconi would have loved you because you've got so much passion. And you know, in the world that we live in,
Not many
enthusiasm and passion,
Dying
I
out.
think are dying out. But I think if you can harness that, it's a great thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Alexandra wants to come over and she wants to see a
Yes.
bit of the normal life, we'll take her for a pie and peas down at...
Cupcake? No, cupcakes. He loves his cupcakes.
yeah, or Barbie.
Yeah,
Or Barbie.
snag on the bar.
A snake on a bow, yeah. I'd say
Well,
what.
And
What have
look
we
at that,
come
you've
up
got,
with?
well, it's when, first off it was on the Magician, then it went to the Fool, this is the Tarot Wheel, now it's gone to the Ace of Pentacles, which is money. So it was almost as though Marconi might have been pushing it along
We're
there.
trying to raise money.
Yeah, because there's the Ace of Pentacles cards come up, which is all about,
Ah.
and it's on number 23, which is a number 5,
Yeah.
which is changes for the better coming up. I think I sense it.
Well, I tell you
I sense
what.
fame.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
definitely.
Well, you know, and like meeting you, that's
Yeah,
it's a
that
very
would've been the
interesting
highlight of
thing.
your
Well, it
career.
was. I mean, there was a connection. She beelined straight across at the Festival of Dreams, and I thought, hello, here she comes. And Marconi would love that. That's what he would do. But you know, our little Facebook page, you can go to Electra, and I've got up on there some of the interesting backstage stuff that we were filming over there. ELETTRA on Facebook,
Yeah.
and you'll see me walking through the museum there, talking to you about what this whole thing's all about, while the camera crew's next door doing the proper job.
That's
Trying to get
right.
it together.
Well, it's just absolutely wonderful having you here and
Thank you,
chatting and
Sharina.
interested in doing some projects
Oh,
together.
look,
in the
I think we
future.
are. I think we are. Dale's gone into shock.
Yes, Dale's having a nervous breakdown. And Conversation Arena, check it out.
You're on there tonight, so go to theconversationarena.com. Our interview that
I'm
we
worried about
recorded.
what I said about
Your
you know,
hair was
some of that
fabulous, but
stuff.
remember
No.
your eye. You had a problem with
Oh,
your
the
eye that
eyelash.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you were
the eyelash,
fine.
Yes, that's right.
So theconversationarena.com, and you'll see
That sounds
Sharina up there.
fantastic.
Sounds great. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.